The rooster had not yet crowed when Pamatsi Okonkwo rose from his raffia mat, stretching his back slowly. The first light of dawn crawled into the small mud hut, illuminating the clay pots arranged neatly by the wall. Outside, the early morning breeze carried the scent of wet earth. Amoruik village was waking up. Okonkwo was not a rich man. His clothes were worn, his farm tools old, and his house small. But he had one thing many in the village envied: Ofiaela, a vast stretch of fertile farmland that fed generations of the Okonkwo family. Palm trees swayed there, cassava grew effortlessly, and the soil was black and rich. Some called it the land of blessings, but for some, it was more than just land, it was power. Okonkwo stepped outside, tightening the rope of his wrapper around his waist. His only son, Obinna, was already awake, washing his face by the clay pot. "Papa, good morning," he greeted, water dripping down his chin. "Good morning, my son," Okonkwo replied. "Today will be long. We must clear the western side before the rains come." Obinna nodded eagerly. At 17, he was strong and determined, shaped by the hard life of poverty but guided by a gentle heart. He grabbed the cutlass and hoe, placing them on his shoulder. They began their walk to Ofiaela, following the narrow bush path that wound past tall elephant grasses. The forest birds sang loudly, announcing a new day. As they reached the farm, Okonkwo paused, scanning the land with pride. For him, this land was everything. It was the bloodline of his fathers, the inheritance he hoped to give Obinna one day. But that peaceful morning was about to crack. Across the farmland, 3 shadows moved silently, measuring ropes in hand. At first, Obinna thought they were hunters, but Okonkwo's instincts sharpened immediately. "Who are those?" he asked quietly. The men froze. Then, like startled bush rats, they ran. "Stop!" Okonkwo shouted, dropping his cassava stems and chasing them. Obinna sprinted beside him. The men fled toward the eastern boundary, their footsteps scattering dry leaves. Okonkwo managed to grab the edge of one man's shirt, but the cloth tore, and the strangers disappeared into the forest. Obinna bent to pick up a rope left behind, a long red measuring rope used by land surveyors. Okonkwo's eyes narrowed. "Surveyor rope? Who is surveying my land?" He struck the ground angrily with his cutlass, shaking his head. Something was wrong. Something big. They worked in silence that morning, but the peace had lifted from the air. A storm was gathering, one they could neither see nor stop. Miles away, in a mansion on the hill overlooking the village, Chief Ekwueme, the wealthiest and most influential man in Amoruik, sat in his luxurious sitting room. His gold wristwatch glistened as he flipped through documents. He was tall, dark, and had the kind of confidence that came from riches and fearlessness. He had everything a man could desire: wealth, connections, influence, and men who would do anything for him. But one thing eluded him: Ofiaela. He wanted it, desperately. It was the perfect location for his new palm oil processing factory. Investors from the city had already shown interest. All he needed was the land, Okonkwo's land. His loyal henchman, a dogwu, entered the room. "Chief, the boys went there this morning. They were almost caught." "Almost?" Chief's eyes sharpened. "I told you not to let that old fool suspect anything yet." Adogwu bowed his head. "Forgive me, Chief. We underestimated him." Chief Ekwueme stood from his chair, walking toward the window and staring down at the village below. "That land belongs to me," he said with cold certainty. "Okonkwo is too poor to deserve such a blessing. I will take it and nobody will stop me." By afternoon, rumors spread like wildfire. Women at the stream whispered. They saw surveyors on Okonkwo's land. Palm wine drinkers at the village square murmured. Chief Ekwueme has been eyeing that land for long. Even in the market, traders shook their heads. Trouble is coming. Mark my words. Adiz, Okonkwo's wife, heard fragments of these whispers, and her heart sank. She hurried home to warn her husband. "Papa Obinna," she said anxiously, "I heard people talking. They say Chief wants your land." Okonkwo wiped sweat from his forehead and sat on a wooden stool. "My wife, I know. His boys were there this morning." Adizi's eyes widened in fear. "Huh! What will we do?" "That man fears nobody." "He may fear nobody," Okonkwo replied firmly, "but he will fear the truth. That land is mine." But even he did not fully believe his own words. 2 days later, A message spread across Amoruik. The Council of Elders will meet at the square by sunset. Every elder was present, including Elder Nana, the only honest one, and Elder Ofoma, the most corrupt. Chief Ekwueme arrived dressed in a white agbada, walking with pride. Behind him were his armed boys, carrying machetes and leather sheaths. Okonkwo and Obinna approached quietly, sitting among villagers. Elder Ofoma stood and cleared his throat dramatically. "My people," he began, after reviewing the historical records of Amoruik, "we have discovered something important." The village square fell silent. Okonkwo leaned forward, tense. Elder Ofoma continued, "Ofiaela, the land Okonkwo claims, actually belongs to the village." Shouts erupted. "That is a lie! How? Since when?" Okonkwo stood up angrily. "What nonsense is this? That land belonged to my father and his father before him." Chief Ekwueme smiled. Elder Ofoma raised his hand. "We have decided to hand the land over to Chief Ekwueme for development." The crowd exploded in outrage. Okonkwo shouted, "You are thieves! This is corruption! Elders, why?" Two of Chief's bodyguards rushed and held Okonkwo down, pushing him to his knees.
Obinna sprang up and punched one guard in the jaw, knocking him back. Immediately, chaos broke out. Villagers separated them. Women screamed. Obinna tried to fight his way to his father. Chief Ekwueme pointed at him and said, "If that boy challenges me again, break his legs." Okonkwo pulled Obinna close, forcing him to retreat. But the damage was done. Okonkwo had just made himself the enemy of the most powerful man in the region. That night, the entire family could not sleep. Their hut felt smaller, darker, and colder. Adaze whispered, "Papa Obinna, maybe we should leave the land." "Maybe we should." "No," Okonkwo interrupted. "Leaving means surrendering my father's legacy." Outside, a strange sound echoed. A snapping branch, a whisper, footsteps. Obinna grabbed a bamboo stick and edged toward the door. "Stay behind me, Mama." But after a few tense moments, the noises faded. They slept with fear in their hearts. They did not know that something far worse was coming. 3 nights later, Okonkwo stayed longer than usual at the farm, determined to harvest enough cassava before the rains. Dark clouds rolled over the sky, and thunder rumbled. As he tied bundles of cassava stems, he heard footsteps. Slow, heavy, approaching. He stood, gripping his cutlass tightly. "Who is there?" he called. No answer. Lightning flashed, and Okonkwo saw 5 men emerging from the forest. Their faces covered with scarves, their knives glinting. He took a deep breath. So it has begun. They attacked. Okonkwo dodged the first strike, swung his cutlass, and slashed one thug's arm. Blood splattered. The man fell back screaming. Another came from behind and kicked Okonkwo in the ribs. He stumbled forward, gasping but still standing. They encircled him. The rain began. One thug lunged with a dagger. Okonkwo blocked it and kicked him. Another tried to grab him from the back. Okonkwo slammed his elbow into the man's stomach. But he was old. They were young. And they were many. One struck him on the head with a heavy stick. Another stabbed his leg. Okonkwo fell to the ground, breathing heavily. The leader of the gang stepped forward. "Old man, you should have sold the land." Okonkwo spat blood. "Tell your master. The gods will judge him." The leader nodded to his men. They descended on him with blows, kicks, and sticks. Okonkwo screamed once. Then again. Then silence. The rain washed away the blood slowly. The land had taken its first life. At sunrise, Obinna carried a basket of firewood along the path when he saw something lying on the ground. He froze. It was his father, face swollen, body lifeless, clothes soaked in dried blood. Obinna dropped the basket and ran, falling beside him. "Papa, Papa, wake up," he cried. Adaze arrived minutes later after hearing Obinna's screams. She collapsed on the ground, wailing. "They killed my husband. Oh my God. They killed him because of land." Villagers gathered. Rain lashed the earth as Obinna held tightly to his father's cold hand. His voice trembled, his grief boiling into rage. "I swear, I will avenge you. I will fight for our land, even if it costs me my life." The elders who betrayed his father stood far away, half hidden behind palm trees. Their faces were masks of guilt and fear. They had accepted bribes from Chief Ekwueme, the wealthiest and most feared man in Umuzu. They thought everything was settled. They thought Ekwueme's money had bought peace, but now the man lay dead, and the land dispute had turned into a curse. Lightning tore through the sky, illuminating Obinna and his father's body. Mama Obi collapsed in tears, hugging her husband's chest. From a distance, Elder Chukwuma whispered, "Ard, what have we done?" Elder Namdi replied shakily, "If the boy finds out everything, we are finished." They vanished into the darkness, but their guilt followed them like a shadow. Before dawn, as the women prepared the body for burial, Mama Obi crawled under their wooden bed and pulled out a wrapped goatskin file. Obinna frowned. "Mohammed, what is that?" She opened it slowly, trembling. Inside lay the original land certificate, the document with Okonkwo father's signature, an old map showing the real boundaries, and all father personal letter from the land registrar. Mama Obi whispered, "Your father hid this here. He knew one day Chief Ekwueme would come for the land. But listen to me carefully, Obinna." She held the certificate tightly. Even though the elders sold the land in secret, without this certificate, Chief Ekwueme cannot legally claim anything. This paper is our last defense. Obinna felt cold. His father had died protecting more than soil. He had died protecting proof. Mama Obi's voice cracked. "Ekwueme knows we have it. That is why they killed your father. But they did not find this." Obinna's jaw tightened. Then the war is just starting. Across the village, in Chief Ekwueme's mansion, the chief was raging like a trapped lion. He paced his room, his gold bracelets jingling. "Idiots!" he shouted at his guards. "I told you, bring me the certificate, not the man." But the viper kept his eyes lowered. "Chief, we searched the house. It was not there." Ekwueme slammed his fist on the table. "Without that certificate, the land is not legally mine. I have the elders, I have the government clerk, I have the police. But without that paper, none of it is complete. The boy and his mother hold the final key." Elder Chukwuma swallowed nervously. "Chief, allow us handle the boy quietly." Chief Ekwueme turned sharply. "Handle him? You fools failed to handle his father. Now the entire village is whispering. If we do not get that certificate before market day, the truth will come out." He leaned close, his voice cold and deadly. "Bring me the certificate. Bring me the boy. Bring me the widow. Or you will all join Okonkwo in the ground." The real war was now for a single piece of paper. After burying his father, Obinna gathered the boys who stood by him, Ez, Somto, Ikenna, and Ogbufi. He unwrapped the goatskin file in front of them. Somto gasped, "This is the original land certificate." Odogwu, the village hunter, nodded slowly. "Your father was wise. This document is the true power, not the land itself." Obinna held the certificate with shaking hands. "My father died for this. Chief Ekwueme will come for us. He must never get it." Ikenna said, "Obinna, we will guard this paper with our lives." Ogbufi spoke with calm authority. "We stand with you. Till the end." Obinna took a deep breath. "Then prepare yourselves. They took our land by force, but they cannot take this certificate." His eyes hardened. "This is the weapon they fear. This is our victory. This is the reason my father died." He closed the goatskin file. "We will expose them. We will confront them. And we will take back everything that belongs to us." The wind howled as if the ancestors heard every word. A storm was gathering, one that would shake Umuzu village to its roots. Chief Ekwueme and the corrupt elders now hunted for the certificate. Obinna and his mother hid it with their lives. The land was only the beginning. The truth was the real weapon, and the certificate held the power to destroy a chief, or destroy the last surviving members of Okonkwo family. The land tussle was no longer about ownership, it was about survival. By morning, the entire village was buzzing. Rumors twisted through the air like restless spirits. Obinna is hiding something. They said he left a document. Ekwueme wants that paper. The elders killed Okonkwo through their greed. Obinna is planning war. Some supported the family quietly. Others feared Chief Ekwueme's wrath. But everyone watched the young boy closely. By afternoon, a crowd gathered as Obinna stepped outside with heirs. Somto, Ikenna, and Ogbufi. People whispered, "There he is. See how his father's spirit is in his eyes. This matter will shake the whole village." But Obinna ignored them. He had bigger battles coming. That evening, while Mama Obi cooked cassava in the backyard, Obinna sensed movement behind their fence. He froze, then signaled to heirs and Somto, who were cleaning farming tools nearby. Obinna whispered, "Stay sharp." Suddenly, crack, the back fence snapped open. 3 masked men rushed in with machetes. Mama Obi screamed. Obinna jumped in front of her. The fight exploded instantly. Somto swung a hoe with wild determination. Ez blocked a machete strike with a wooden pestle. Sparks flying as metal clashed wood. Obinna charged forward, slashing with his cutlass. The invaders were skilled, too skilled for ordinary thieves. Obinna's suspicion hardened. Ekwueme sent them. One of the masked men lunged at Mama Obi. Obinna flipped with surprising speed, tackling him to the ground. They rolled in the dust, fists flying, breath ragged. The attacker's machete dropped. Obinna grabbed it and struck his shoulder. Not enough to kill, but enough to make him scream. The men fled. Obinna threw the machete after them, shouting, "Tell your master we are not afraid." Villagers came running. When they heard what happened, the whispers grew louder. "This is war now. Ekwueme wants the certificate. That widow and her son are in danger." Mama Obi shook uncontrollably. Obinna hugged her tightly. "Mama, I won't let anything happen to you." But deep inside, he knew the attacks had only begun. That night, the corrupt elders gathered secretly behind Elder Okori's barn. Elder Namdi was pacing, sweating. "This is getting out of hand. First Okonkwo died, now the boy is fighting back." Elder Chief hissed. "He will bury us alive." Elder Okori sighed heavily. "Then what do we do?" Chief spoke slowly. "We must separate the boy from his mother." Namdi froze. "You mean?" Chief nodded. "Yes, the widow is weak. She cannot fight like the boy. If we capture her, the boy will surrender the certificate." Namdi swallowed hard. "That's madness." Chief growled. "It's either her, or us." The elders agreed reluctantly. The betrayal deepened. 2 days later, Mama Obi headed to the market to buy herbs. Obinna wanted to escort her, but she insisted on going with 2 women from the village. "Obinna, you cannot follow me everywhere." "Mama, please." "No, you must stay and guard the house. I will be back before sunset." But the elders were waiting. They had bribed the bush path guards. They had arranged the attack. They had set a perfect trap. Halfway down the path, masked men stepped out from behind the trees. The women with Mama Obi screamed and ran. Mama Obi froze, backing away. "Please, please don't hurt me." The leader grabbed her wrist. "You know what we want." She shook violently. "I don't have it." He slapped her across the face. "Where is the land certificate?" She cried out, collapsing to her knees. "I don't know what you're talking about." They dragged her toward a waiting cart. Back at home, Obinna suddenly stood up from where he was sharpening his father's old machete. Something felt wrong. Ez looked at him. "What happened?" "I don't know," Obinna whispered. "But Mama is in danger." He didn't wait. He grabbed his machete and ran. The boys followed. "Obind, reached the bush path just in time to see masked men forcing his mother into a cart. He roared like a wounded lion. Numbed. The kidnappers turned. Obinna didn't slow down. He charged, swinging with pure rage. The fight was brutal. Ez tackled one of the men. Ikenna stabbed another in the thigh. Samto used a long stick like a spear, knocking a kidnapper flat. Obinna reached the leader, the one holding his mother. He kicked him so hard the man stumbled. The elders dropped their heads. They had no answer. Obinna stepped forward, chest rising with emotion. My father died for this land. You called him stubborn. You said he was difficult. But he was only protecting what his own father gave him. He lifted the certificate. This paper. You wanted to destroy it. You wanted to destroy us. But today, the truth has defeated all of you. The crowd roared in agreement. After a long meeting, the village passed judgment. The land was officially restored to Okonkwo's family. Chief Ekwueme was stripped of his influence and disgraced. The corrupt elders were removed from their positions. A new group of fair-minded elders was appointed. The community apologized to Mama Obi and Obinna. The registrar placed the certificate back into Mama Obi's hands. Guard this well. It carries your husband's sweat, his love, and his blood. As the villagers dispersed, Obinna walked the land. He knelt, placed his palm on the soil, and whispered, Papa, your fight is over. Your land is safe. And I will build again on this ground you protected with your life. Mama Obi placed her hand on his shoulder. The wind blew gently across the land, as if Okonkwo's spirit finally rested. The war had ended. Truth had won. And the land was once again where it belonged, in the hands of Okonkwo's blood.